Okay, so good day, guys. This is a continuation of the lessons under Unit 1. For lessons 1 and 2 of Unit 1, remember, Unit 1 has to do with the definition, foundations, and characteristics of learner-centered teaching. So in lessons 1 and 2, we had a discussion on what learner-centered teaching is, what are the characteristics of a learning environment um, that actually is dominantly LCT or is which makes use of LCT as an approach. Um, we also have compared LCT with teacher-centered approach. No? So we tried looking into which of the two, and in fact, what one of the questions I asked you is that which of the two do you personally think is best, no, when it comes to your approach as future teachers or as pre-service teachers. Okay, so for us to have a more comprehensive grasp of LCT, we will look into its dimensions. Okay, so in this particular lesson, we will be looking into five specific dimensions, which we must consider, no, if our approach is LCT. No, so if our instructional approach is LCT, these are the very dimensions that we have or that we must consider. Okay? So, as for our objectives, we have the following. So, um, though we have done this in the past, we've tried looking into the focus of learner-centered approach and teacher-centered approach. No, um, we are so in this particular lesson, in lesson 3 specifically, what we would be looking into would be the dimensions of learner-centered teaching. Okay, so we will be highlighting, we will be underscoring this approach specifically on or in terms of its dimensions. Okay, so learner-centered instruction focuses on what students are learning, how they are learning, and how they use the acquired learning. So if you recall in lesson 2, in fact, we have looked into what particular educational philosophies adhere to learner-centered approach. And in these specific philosophies, we have highlighted, no, what should be the focus of um, instruction or of curriculum. No? So what should students learn? Okay? And even the methods, no, as to the delivery of instruction. So how they should learn. Okay? And with the hope that the strategies or the methods of instruction, no, could also prompt students, no, um, in terms of how they would apply, no, the learnings they've had. Okay, so there are five dimensions or areas, as I mentioned earlier, that we would be looking into, no, and specific or in relation rather to learner-centered teaching as advocated by Blomberg. Okay, so what are these? No, so we have the function of the content. We have the balance of power, evaluation, purpose, and process, the responsibility for learning, and the role of the teacher. So we will be looking into each of the dimensions. Okay. So first, we'll look into the content and its functions. So what we mean in here would be the learning content. Okay. Remember that in any teaching learning process, the very goal of the teacher definitely is to deliver the content. Okay? So, in fact, that's the one of the primary responsibilities of the teacher. No? As to the manner of how the teacher delivers the same, um, in higher education, this is governed by what we call academic freedom. So it's up on the teacher having the knowledge and having the prior information as to the characteristics of his or her learners. No, the teacher has the discretion as to the method, no, or as to how he or she delivers the learning content. Okay. So, we have an assumption that the more content or the depth or even the quantity and as well the quality of the content, no, that we actually give to students. No? So this is what is expected or is assumed, no, that if you're a teacher, you are to cover as much as what is in the syllabus. Okay? So, of course, as to how much of the content is enough, no? It depends upon the course, no? I don't mean in here that if you're well, if it's a board course, meaning to say if it's one of the subjects that are tested for board examinations, then much is expected. No, I'm not saying that you have to um, what do you call that? Give least priority to other subjects which are not part of the which are not part of the tawag dyan, uh, board courses, no? So, you have to treat every subject in your curriculum as equally important, no? So, because definitely you could not graduate if you would take least take one among these as your least priority. So, kailangan pa rin ay bigyan ng karampatang atensyon ang bawat courses na nasa inyong curriculum. Ngunit kung titingnan natin ay mas kumbaga binibigyang diin, no? Kung halimbawa sa inyong mga guro, kaming mga nagtuturo ng mga board courses, no? Much is expected in terms of what to deliver, no? So basically, the reason why we are asked to submit our syllabus is um I mean, if we look into the rationale, no, apart of course from, well, it's really one of the compliances that we have to do or to adhere unto. But beyond that, it's really um, uh, in relation, no, in relation to whether what is taught is aligned to what is assessed, no? So laging nakatuon doon sa kung ano yung nandoon sa ini-examine pagdating ng BLEP, no? So in your case as one majoring in the field of education. So it's always anchored onto uh, what the PRC requires in terms of the knowledge, skills, and competencies that are expected for pre-service teachers. Okay? So, um, as to the issue on whether you memorize or that there's a need to understand, I think it's both, no? There is still a need to somewhat acquaint yourselves as to the objective concepts, no? Because whether we like it or not, in board examinations, there would still be memorization. Okay, but of course, you have to have a deeper grasp of the concepts, no? particularly on how you could apply it to classroom management or to instruction. Okay? So there is still a need to comprehend, to understand learning content. Okay? What else? What are some of the uses? So there's a need to continue to learn new content. It does not, you are not limited unto what your teacher is giving you in terms of content. No? So if you observe at the start of the semester, your teacher gives you the syllabus. Okay. The reason behind that is for you to be guided. So what particular topics are expected to be learned in the course, plus it actually gives you the perspective of you having the initiative to substantiate your knowledge on the content. No? So what I mean in here is that there's a need that you also have to validate or substantiate, no, what is shared to you by your teacher. Because again, I would always say that while your teachers are more knowledgeable in terms of content, they don't have the monopoly of knowledge. So it says here it's impossible to teach everything about anything. No, when there are, for instance, theories, no, what we just look into the theories would be how the theory apply to the topic in the course or as per syllabus. No? So we don't actually look into the very detail of the theory. Okay. So if you recall, for instance, we have discussed about learner-centered educational philosophies and teacher-centered educational philosophies. No? So there are a lot about essentialism, about perennialism, but what we just tried to look into would be what elements in essentialism that make it um, teacher-centered, for instance. What about um, concepts in pragmatism that align it as what? As a learner-centered educational philosophy. Okay? So uh, there's also this what we call need to relearn past content. No? So um, what teachers usually do is to make the approach multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary. No? So we don't just bridge the new lesson by um, looking back into your prior knowledge, but we also relate it to other disciplines, no, which to which the concept could be applied. No? So as I mentioned, there are topics, for instance, in child and ado, which we could richly use also or discuss also, no, not necessarily discuss, but perhaps which we could anchor, no, our lesson, for instance, um in FASI. Okay, so to move further, in a learner-centered environment, learners are aware of the reasons for learning the content. Okay? So you are made aware of why is there a need to learn the content. And I think that's a very practical reason, no? Um, Definitely because when you will be assessed and when you will be assessed through your term test or your quizzes, how much you've learned about the course depends on how you fared in the assessment, no? So, siguro yun yung motivation ninyo, gusto ninyong pumasa kapag may exam at kaya kailangan ninyong malaman ang maintindihan yung learning content. Ano-ano nga ba yung mga motivations nyo of why is there a need for you to understand the learning content apart from you wanted to pass the subject, you wanted to pass your quizzes or your term test. No? So, we have different ways actually of learning the content, no? Which are usually appropriate to our discipline. Okay, so as pre-service teachers, for instance, no, you cannot do away from rote learning. No, so there are instances where you memorize the material. What else? Um, in other courses, um, there's a need for you to apply the concept, no, in real and concrete activities or problems. No? So like when your course is mathematics, for example, in your general education, no, curriculum, okay, definitely the learning content, the facilitator or the teacher would provide you with what? Actual mathematical problems where you could solve or where you could make use of the formula that was taught by your teacher. Okay? In your dance class, for example, you are given practical exams, no, where you could actually exhibit the dance steps, no, and so is with music, no, you are given actual piece where you sing, no, or where you produce the melody, no, based on the musical ano yun, arrangement ba ang tawag doon, or measure, no? So in the classroom scenario, content knowledge are characterized into two: surface and deep learning, no? So in our everyday class, um, this is what takes place, no? So um, first at the first level would be surface learning. No? Siyempre kapag bago sa atin yung material, no, what we do is we skim. We do skimming of the material. Okay? Siguro we acquaint ourselves to the concepts, terms, um, included in the learning content, no? And then we try to have a deeper understanding as we come to read, no, the learning content. Okay? So bakit kailangan din na bigyan pa rin kayo ng kopya ng learning content? No? Para meron kayong mabalikan pag kayo ay nagre-review. O kasi kung minsan, kahit nga during discussion, you don't, or you rarely take down notes. Wala nang mga ganong klase ng learners. Although, syempre, babalik tayo doon sa generation ninyo na since siguro techie savvy kayo, mas prefer ninyo na what? Um, what I observe is they don't take down notes during discussion. They just listen. You just listen. But after the discussion, those writings on the board, concepts, terms that were defined and discussed, no? May mga nakikita akong pumupunta sa harap ng blackboard at pinipicture nila, no? Or you just simply save the PowerPoint that were sent to you by your teachers. Or ito, katulad nito, no? Lecture discussion. So, you just simply go back onto the video lecture and perhaps reacquaint yourselves with what were discussed. Okay? Then, when students concentrated on memorizing the facts, focus on the discrete elements of the reading, failed to differentiate between evidence and information, were unreflective, and so the task as an external imposition, this approach is surface learning. So in surface learning, from the very word itself, no, walang malalim na pag-intindi sa content, sa learning content, no? It's more of the superficial um, encoding of the information. So kumbaga, kung titingnan natin kung anong uh, type ng memory ang involved, baka sensory, register, or working memory lang ang involved, no? So, ito usually ginagawa natin kapag nagdi-discuss si teacher. Maliban na lang kung nakikita natin yung implication nung dinidiscuss ni teacher, nakikita natin yung value nung dinidiscuss ni teacher, saka siguro nagkakaroon ng deep learning. Okay? When students focus on what the author meant, related new information to what they already knew and had experienced, work to organize and structure the content, and saw the reading as an important source of learning, this is characterized as deep learning. No? So when we see that what were discussed by the teacher are siguro probable items for BLEP, when we see the relevance, the connection of the discussion to our real life situation or encounters or experiences. That's where deep learning, no? Mas ini-embrace natin yung learning process. Kumbaga, mas nagkakaroon tayo ng malalimang pagpapakahulugan, pag-iintindi doon sa learning content. Okay? Now, so that's content and its functions. Okay? As to how you learn the learning content, we differ from one another. No? I think the rationale here would be in terms of our learning styles. How do we learn? No? So some of us we learn by we come to understand the learning content by siguro watching, no, if we are visual learners, by hearing video lectures like this, perhaps if we are auditory learners. No? So to kinesthetic learners, they appreciate more the learning content if they are able to apply through movements most likely or through concrete activities. No? For tactile learners. Okay? So as to how we learn the content, again, we attribute it to individual differences when it comes to learning styles. As to how much of the content should we learn, okay, so again, it depends, no? Kasi kahit gaano karami yung diniscuss ng teacher, yung processing ng information at yung comprehension or yung interpretation ng information magkakaiba tayo. Okay? Pero nevertheless, ang pinaka baseline natin ay yung syllabus. Kung ano ang nasa syllabus, natural yun yung learning content, no? Yung quantity at depth ng pino-provide ng teacher ay naka-align lagi sa course syllabus. Okay? What else? We also have the role of the teacher. Okay, one of the dimensions of learner-centered teaching has to do with the role of the teacher. And so you have to pay attention because you are future teachers and I think there's a need. Although meron kayong separate subject later, no, to which you will come to know more about your roles, no? So meron tayong the teacher and the community, no? That is pagdating nyo ng third year, okay? And some other prof ed subjects, okay? So the learner-centered classroom involves changes in the roles and responsibilities of learners and instructors. Remember, we do away from the traditional classroom setup, no, in a teacher-centered classroom, to where much of the role and the responsibility lies on the teacher. But for a learner-centered learning environment, no, much also is expected to learners, no, when it comes to the learning content, learning the learning content, even in terms of the instructional strategies. Okay? So in an instructor-centered approach, instructors often focus on delivering content through lectures and demonstration. Okay? So I don't know, but I think I have asked you this last time. You know, while we kept on telling that learner-centered approach appeared to be the best, no? As we read from literatures, uh, it appears to be the best approach when it comes to learning. Again, I think I need to emphasize that depending on the course, no, and uh, yeah, depending on the course, um, we cannot do away from lecture, discussion, and demonstrations. Okay, so you might have noticed that I think this is the commonly used, most often used strategy of your teacher in higher ed, no? So, especially for board courses, though, from time to time, we think of activities where we could integrate, no, the concepts, but we cannot do away from the concepts. We cannot do away from learning definitions of terms. No? We cannot do away from learning theories. Okay, so while we may think of enticing activities, no, uh, with regard the theories, no, but still these are best shared, no, through a discussion like what we're doing. So in a learner-centered approach, the instructor assists the students with accessing and working with content. No? So the learning content is already given to you. You might have read it beforehand, and I'm sure you have had your prior understanding of it. No? But we come to have uh what do you call this, a guided and parang the role of the instructor, or the role of the teacher is to assist you, to guide you in a way that we come to have a common understanding of the content. Okay? Kasi kapag binigay sa inyo yung learning material at kayo-kayo lang, bahala na kayong umintindi ng kung paano nyo ito maintindihan ng walang assistance or scaffolding sa teacher, eh maaring magkaroon tayo ng ibang pang-unawa doon sa learning content. Kaya, ang ginagawa pa rin ng teacher is that there are activities, or there are sessions or discussions to which the teacher guides you or assists you toward a common understanding of the learning content. Okay? So there's a shift from instructors allocating time for lecture preparation to time planning ways to help learners achieve learning goals and outcomes for the course. And I think with this, I hope, no, that you come to recognize that it's not really easy to become teachers, no? Because uh, you have to allot time to prepare your lecture plus your activities. Mas ma-appreciate ninyo yan kapag kayo ay practice teaching na, no? Kasi pag kayo nag-practice teaching, meron pa kayong lesson planning, meron pa kayong um, tawag diyan, execution of the lesson plan, meron kayong assessment, no? So, you will go through the process, and as I mentioned earlier, that there is a need for you to allot time preparing your material, your learning content. Okay, so it's not only the PowerPoint, but also activities, no, that you could do in betweens, so that in between the lectures, no, so that your students could be able to apply the the concepts that you have discussed. Okay, so ayan. Ano pa? Teachers no longer function as exclusive content expert or authoritarian classroom managers, and no longer work to improve teaching by developing sophisticated presentation skills. No? So, the teacher, ayan. So, um, it seems that there is a shared responsibility, no? So the students share responsibility as to the goal of what learning the content. Okay, so uh, it says here kung sana katulad ng ano kung modular, 'di ba? Naalala niyo nung pandemic, talagang parang ito ang pinaka-manifestation ng learner-centered teaching. Dahil nabigla ang lahat, nagkundamahog tayong ang mga teachers niyong gumawa ng module. Yung module na i-provide sa inyo, meron ng mga instruction doon, ng mga activities, no? At on your own, what? You do the activities. The teacher would just provide you because there are no face-to-face class, virtual class lang, but um, not every meeting you are to do synchronous sessions kasi may mga asynchronous sessions pa rin tayo, no? So, much of the learning tasks are expected, no? I mean, there's an expectation that the students would do the learning task as instructed on the modules given by the teachers. So, kung ang role na lang ng teacher doon ay tagasagot ng mga tanong ng mga estudyante sa kung paano gagawin siguro yung task kung may mga estudyante hindi naintindihan yung instruction sa module. Okay? But nevertheless, para bang this is more of your own discovery, no? Own learning discovery, no? So, uh, lesser din ang ano nun eh, no? Kasi mahirap din usually yung, although siguro kung very techy yung teacher, may mga instances that you are given group task, no? May mga group task ba kayo nun na merong mga breakout rooms, no? Kasi kahit nga sa ano nun, wala ngang um, um, business account ang school noon for an app like yung Zoom. Saka lang tayo nag-register nung kailangan na ano. So what I mean in here is um there are lesser chances for students to learn from each other. But now that we are doing face-to-face classes, no? So there are much time, and perhaps you're given more opportunities to actually do group tasks where you can learn from your classmates. Okay? Next dimension would be responsibility for learning. So learning is an active search for meaning by the learner. Okay? So it is constructing knowledge rather than passively receiving it, shaping as well as being shaped by experiences. Okay? So in the in the concept of learning, no, it's more of kung titingnan nga natin, learning is a verb. Where the learner, no, the root word learns. No? So, what is your indication that the learner learns? No? Of course, there would be additional knowledge that he acquired from the process, no? And that there is a change in behavior as brought about by the learning and by the experiences, no? So, shaping as well as being shaped by the experiences that he had. Okay? Now, so how, when it comes to the responsibility for learning, no? What should be done or what must be done? So, there must be engagement or involvement of students, no? So in the process of learning, again, we go back into the bipolarity of education, no? We kept mentioning that it must be two-way, no? So uh, students must be involved and engaged in the learning process. Okay? So have students identify climates where they have learned effectively in the past. No? So how will you do it? No? So you ask your students, no? how how do they learn effectively? No? You get feedback. Okay? So um, perhaps you may want to look into the learning environment itself. You look into the characteristic of the learners. Okay. If there would be instances where your learners perform poorly, as a teacher, you ask yourselves, no, what factors might be contributory to this poor performance of the learners? Does it has to do with your strategy as a teacher, or that it does it has to do with um, the um, the learning styles perhaps of the learners, or is the learning environment contributory to the poor performance or the learning climate? Okay, so you also empower your students, no, to fix problems. What problems, no? Perhaps when it comes to when you give them learning tasks and what you expect in terms of their performance as to the learning task, no, were not met, no. So you try to what process, no, you ask perhaps about the dynamics of the members of the group, no, kung group work man yan, no. Baka kasi yung mga kagrupo niya eh hindi naman siya comfortable na katrabaho, kaya hindi sila tawag diyan, hindi sila nagkaroon ng magandang output, no? Kaya, does it pay that does is it advantageous that you would also ask the students how are they how would they want to be grouped kung merong mga group activities? Yes, I think so. That I think is a learner-centered practice, learner-centered approach, no? So you ask them how do they wanted to be grouped, no? So if majority of them would want that they choose their own members, or if they want that you do the grouping, you as a teacher you'll group them because that would be a very objective ano, kasi may mga pagkakataon na paulit-ulit kapag may mga group task kung sino-sino yung magkakasama, sila-sila ang magkakasama, no? Siguro kasi yun nga, yung group harmony, yung principle ng sa group dynamics, no? Pero as a teacher, no, you can actually ask them um, how they would want to be grouped, no? And if majority of them would want that they choose, then perhaps you think about, you know, how feasible is it to actually adhere unto their um, choice, no? So another would be purpose and process of assessment. So one dimension of learner-centered teaching is to look into summative assessments. And in a learner-centered course, along with summative assessments, one might also see multiple projects with self-assessment and reflection, self-test, takers for feedback about student understanding of concepts, etc. So what I mean in here, or what we mean in here, is that there can be diverse way of assessing the performance of the students. It's not only through the traditional giving of quiz and term test, no? Kasi hindi ba ganun yung practice natin. Okay? Pero maraming paraan, maraming mga activities na pwedeng maging gauge, no, ng teacher para malaman ang performance or ang understanding ng estudyante, no? So you might have experienced this in your other subjects. Bakit kaya ang dami-dami ng activities, ang dami-dami naman pinapagawa ni sir at ni ma'am, no? Kasi parte yun sa kanilang mga, parte yun ng kanilang assessments, no? So it's not only through quiz or through term test. Okay? Although of course, that's usually the measure kasi of our performance. Okay? Now, self-assessment activities, peer-reviewed activities, no? So you also have your recitations, no? Usually mga ano yan, mga self-assessment and reflection task, may mga ganun. Ano? Okay. And then last among the dimensions would be balancing of power. So what about power? What power is there to be balanced, no? So it says here, learner-centered teaching does not remove the power or authority of the teacher. Meaning to say, in the teaching learning process, no, the one in authority is still the teacher. Okay? Uh, However, learners share some of the power in the classroom. Okay, so it's not the exclusive power that the teacher is always in control of the teaching learning relationship. Okay, because learners may share some of the power. Okay, sabi dito, learners have the option to explore content outside the boundaries of what instructors have provided. So what do we mean by here? You see, it's your responsibility, and I think it's also it must be incumbent among you that when a learning content is given by your teacher, or when a discussion or a lecture was facilitated by a teacher, no, what you do is to substantiate, to find out, to validate, no? Malay ninyo, may mga teachers na medyo hindi na pala updated ang kanilang references at hindi na pala yung sinishare nila ang dapat ninyong matutunan. Kasi baka yung theory na yon kopong-kopong pa, hindi na pala siya applicable sa henerasyon nyo ngayon. No? So, we always have to be vigilant. Alam nyo, yun ang isa sa mga katangiang hindi ko masyadong nakikita sa mga estudyante, no? Parang ang mga estudyante natin madalas ay tawag diyan passive, no? Sorry to say the word, but in what way um in what way are they passive? Whatever is given to them in terms of the module or learning content, yun na lang yun. Wala akong nakikitang pag-discussion ay nagre-raise ng hand at nagbibigay ng kanilang mga nabasa, no? Siguro nag-o-oppose dun sa mga dinidiscuss ng teacher, no? Usually makayayayes na, ba? Okay, class, did you understand? Bakit? Ano di answeryo? Yes, ma'am. Kunayo nga sigod niya. Okay? Any question? None, ma'am. Kunayo, no? So, I don't know if that is part of our conditioning, but I think one of the power that you have, no, is to find out, to validate, no, whether what had been shared to you by your teachers are um, the things that you are supposed to learn in terms of content. No? Sabi dito, you have the power to explore content, meaning to say, you can do that, no? Because you see, that's why you are learning, no? How can you learn if you would just wait, no, for what is shared to you by your teacher? Okay? So, I think that's one way of gaining confidence when you are able to share also something in class. Okay? So there is a feeling of ownership. Is it not that when you are able to share something in class, something especially that your teacher does not know about, is it not that it contributes to your motivation or to your confidence? Okay, so that is what it meant here. Okay, what else? Ayan, so power also comes in when in the drafting or development of the syllabus you are included, no? Kasama ba kami doon, ma'am? Yes, representative nga lang. Kapag meron kaming syllabi review, merong student representative. Usually, yung governor or yung governor ng college. Siya lang yung pumupunta. Or kung meron pang ini-invite na mga other officers of the student body, no? But nevertheless, meron at merong representative ang student tree. Okay? Ano pa? Are you also being asked when, for instance, setting schedules for deadlines ng mga requirements nyo? Binibigyan din ba kayo ng pagkakataon ng teachers? Usually nga kayo ang nagdedesisyon, di ba? Kapag may mga activities, o submit nyo sa ganito, nakalagay na dun sa instruction kung kailan isasubmit. No? Pero, kayo pa rin at the end of the day ang nasusunod sa kung kailan nyo isasubmit. Okay? So, that's it. Balancing of power. Ano-ano pa bang mga eksena sa learning and teaching relationship ang kung saan ay meron kayong say or meron kayong nagko-confer ang teacher sa inyo, no? So sa mga activities siguro in terms of how you do it, no? Okay? So in terms of how you do it, how you present, no? Like say for example, an activity about our understanding on the concept of education. So you can you can present it in any way. You can come up with a visual slogan or ano ba yung drawing? Okay, on education, or you can come up with a poem, no? So as to the manner of presenting it, no? So the task may be the students may share, no, their point of view as to how tasks are done. Okay? So I think this is the application. I don't know if you were able to do this last time based on those tasks that I had given you. No? So I think this is where it ends, no? So this is the coverage of the lecture for lesson 3 on dimensions of LCD. Okay? So anyway, I've sent the copy of this PowerPoint to you already. So this is just but the video lecture. Okay? So with that, thank you and good day.